Shoot a shot.
One.
I'm coming in hot.
Welcome in to week 12, post-Thanksgiving edition of the Goose and the Griz podcast. I'm your host, the Griz. The Goose is on the other end. How you doing over there, man? You still full from Thanksgiving?
Yeah, man, I'm full. It was awesome. We were with family. Got to be at my sister's-in-law's house. I didn't have to clean up, so that's always a plus. And now
Nice.
we're here. We're here in Broncos country. Let's ride. You know what can I say? How was your Thanksgiving?
It was good, man. Just had some good food and just quiet for once. It's rare that you get quiet time, so it's kind of nice, during the holidays when you can just kind of bask in the ambiance. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah, I'm with you.
So, although the holidays are all fun and everything for family, when it comes to football, it just causes a mess, man. We had football going on Thursday, we had Black Friday, we had Sunday, we had a Monday night football game.
Yep.
And it absolutely got our league into basically ready for the playoffs. That was a huge week to kind of transition into getting ready for the playoffs, and that is exactly what we're doing now. We're not going to be going through all the games as specifically in detail. Everything is playoff focused and how the final seedings are going to basically come around and what you could look out for. So we're going to do this week, same thing next week. And then, guys, we're at the playoffs. There's 2 weeks left. Can you believe that, man?
Yeah, man, we're finally here. Season goes by real quick. You know that as soon as you're taking a bite of that turkey, fantasy season's coming to an end. So
yeah, it's bittersweet.
Sure is.
Yeah. Well, our first up guy, the top seed, he's been holding it down all year. He's 10-2, first to 10 wins. Drum roll, please. Carlos. He has earned his playoff spot, but here's something interesting though. He's earned his playoff spot, but he has not won his division yet. Now it's pretty much a lock that he's going to. Okay, so he probably is, but there is an outside unlikely scenario that if he loses out and Hector wins out, which dun they play this week.
Good.
It's an unlikely scenario, but if he loses out and Hector wins out, and Hector makes up 190 points on Carlos, that's where it becomes very unlikely. Then Hector could win the division, and Carlos would take the top wildcard spot. So that's probably not going to happen, and there's not really much of a chance that he's going to end up with anything but first, as long as he wins one of the next 2 games.
All right. Well, this is a big one, right? These are we were twinkling, with the schedule, and we got most of it right. We got most of it right, except for 2 back-to-backs, which were they evened out in the end. So who cares? But
that'll get cleaned up.
Yeah, it'll get cleaned up next year. No worries. But Carlos, we got 2 hot teams coming in, man. Carlos 10-2, best record in the league. We got Hector 8-4. Carlos is 4-1, has won 4 straight, averaging 141 points. Hector also 4-1 his last 5 games, averaging 149.9 points, actually averaging a little bit more. So watch out. Last time these 2 teams played, what's the name? Hector had Calvin Austin in the starting lineup. CeeDee Lamb was scoring only 8 points at that time. While Carlos, on the other hand, again, that game was 172-134. He had Tyreek Hill go off for 36 in that game, Brock Purdy for 30, and Travis Etienne for 40.
Ooh. Yeah, he scored 172 that game, so he was definitely feeling it. And, I think, honestly, the most dangerous thing that can happen here for Carlos if his team lets up is, I don't think he's going to not win his division. I mean, he should win one of the next 2 games, but if he doesn't, or if he stumbles, losing that number 1 seed could really make a mess, because we're going to get to it in a little bit, but we got 7 seeds here. Only the top 1 gets the bye. And if you have a chance of losing in that first week, that changes things astronomically, especially if you have bad matchups. And there are some bad matchups out there right now.
There are. You're right. He doesn't get AJ Dillon, and I know he had Aaron Jones for this one. So looks like he's gonna slide in Kareem Hunt in the flex. These teams that might cancel out each other here with CJ Stroud and Tank Dell, two of the hottest players in fantasy right now. But what's his name?
Over under is 150. I'll give you that. Okay. Over under for both. So what if they both score around 150 each, which they kind of hovered around it when you average it out.
Right.
172 and 134, 135 really. So around 150. So let's say the 300-point win total. You think if I set that line for you at 300 combined, you over or under on that for their final score?
Ooh, I don't know. This is gonna be a good one.
I'll take the over on that. I think it might be a shootout here.
I think so, man. Both teams have
more than 300 points for both of them.
More than 300. I'm good with it. I'll go with that. I can totally see that happening.
I don't think that's going to be one of those 90s NBA games, 95 to 92 type of thing. So
these players are too hot for that.
Yeah. Well, moving into the second seed, it is yours truly, 9-3. Magic Mirror on the ball.
Oh, is this our matchup?
Snow White himself. Look at that. And yeah, you and I play this week, man. And this week bothers me a little bit because it's by Mageddon. It's not hitting me that hard, but I don't have Zay Flowers. I don't have Justin Fields. So I have a couple of matchups that aren't ideal with the Lions versus the Saints. They're a pretty good defense, so we'll have to see how that goes. And it's a dynasty belt game, man. I don't want to lose it to you. This is the last chance. And I mean, there's a good chance, I might end up playing Manny or Saheed in the playoffs. If I do, then obviously that will be another dynasty belt game. That would be awesome to add to the playoff stakes. But, this is basically your Super Bowl here. So, it's something to win and hold over the ones that are going on to the winner's bracket. I don't want to lose this one to you. I ain't going to lie.
It's not going to be fun. See, because you are 9-3, you're definitely one of the top scoring teams in the league. You've been averaging yourself 144 points and 95. Don't forget the 95. You've been 4-1 the last 5 games, so you're definitely up there with the Carlos and Hectors of the world. So this is like beating up on retarded children. This is just wrong. Okay. So
hey, I'm still worried about this one, man. You're playing spoiler, man. You never know. You never know.
I know that my team.
I don't take fantasy for granted, bro.
My team is like the kindergarten kids, and you guys just coming to beat us up. That's just wrong. That's illegal.
Hey, that's sometimes you just gotta. When you're having a good year, it feels like everything's clicking. I mean, I don't take that for granted because I've had years where I did good and then lost in the playoffs, lost in the Super Bowl. So I don't take it for granted. It's great to have it, but the weeks that are coming up are the ones that matter. And these are some of the things that I had in mind when I was drafting, with some of the matchups that are better than others. I didn't expect Breece Hall to not have Aaron Rodgers, but hey, he still might. Who the hell knows? He's back on he's off the practice report, so he's practicing and everything. So we'll have to see. If it wasn't for 0.25 points from Manny, I'd actually be 10-2, and Carlos would still have the head-to-head edge over me. But at least I, have a more of an outside chance. I could go up to the 1 seed. It's unlikely. I got to win out, Carlos lose out because he has a head-to-head right now over me.
Right.
But I mean, hey, 2 seed. I'm happy with that, but I am scared a little bit because my matchup, if the playoffs started today, would be Alex. And I beat Alex last time, but we split the head-to-head. So if I play him, and he would have Justin Jefferson back. So, with a couple games under his belt to get hot, that'd be dangerous. That would be where that trade could come bite me in the butt, man.
I see that. We'll see how it goes.
Yep. 3 seed. Joel, he is 8-4, and he has won his division. That was something I forgot to mention about myself and him here. Me and Joel actually are the only ones that have won their division so far outright.
Nice.
He also has as well. He at best could be a number 1 seed, but it's unlikely because he has to win out. Carlos loses out, and he has to make up about 157 points on Carlos. So realistically, could go up to 2 seed. Hey, I'm honestly kind of okay with that if I can't get the 1 seed. At worst, he could be a 4 seed. His match this week is Lewis, and Lewis is in need of a win because we'll get into it in a little bit. He has an outside shot at playoffs here, but they played back in week 5, and he won versus Lewis by 6.5 points.
Yes, he did. Lewis now had 3 players on a bye week that week, and at that time he was playing Jaleel McLaughlin.
That was the Bucks bye week, I think, right?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I didn't see Rashad White in that one here. I can pull it up.
Yeah, I'll give some flowers to Lewis on this one here. We all clowned him a little bit for going after Rashad White early in the draft, and I still think it was a reach for sure, but at least it's been paying off. I mean, I'm not going to say Rashad White is amazing for real football, but he's a PPR monster right now, man. So hey, good for you, Lewis. Ride that pony.
Yeah, I've definitely been surprised. It'll be a different matchup. Joel at that time had Mark Andrews and Sam Howell. So it's a totally different team. Joel's been 3-2, averaging about 137.1 points. So he's one of the tough teams as well. But he hasn't been on a hot streak. It's been more up and down lately. So you're right. Lewis could play spoiler alert over here.
Yeah, spoiler, or could sneak in himself, and we'll get to that in a little bit too. And last but not least of the division leaders, Manny is in the tightest battle right now for his division. 7-5. Manny, of course, we knew he was going to be here towards the end. He's tied with Saheed for the division, but he holds the head-to-head tiebreaker. But a Goose, guess who he plays this week, bro?
I don't know. Surprise me.
He plays Saheed.
Oh man, you sound too happy when you said that.
I am, man, because this is going to be a clash. This decides the division, man.
Oh wow.
There's a chance that whoever loses could win and come off with the tie because but Saheed doesn't really have much in regards to I think he has a 255-point lead over Saheed. So Saheed has to pretty much end with the better record. But they each control their own destiny, basically.
Yeah, they sure do. You're right. This is a big one. This is kind of what we were kind of dialing up back in August, right? We were trying to dial up some interesting matchups here at the end.
Let's not get all the division games done by week 6.
Right.
Let's have some late in the year so that we can have everybody shit themselves.
This is fun.
This is exactly what's happening.
Yeah, both teams are 7-5, and you're right. This is for the division. Just when we thought Saheed was out for the count, he's still in it. Manny, Saheed. So here's funny thing. So even though Saheed's team may look on the weaker side on paper, he's been 4-1 himself. Manny has been 2-3. If you remember correctly, he started off super hot with 5 straight wins and then going on that 3-game losing streak. So in the past 5 games, he's actually been 2-3. And last time these two teams played, Manny had Jamar Chase go off for 56 points and George Kittle go off for 27.73 points, which Saheed traded to Manny.
Yep. Yeah. And speaking of trades, I encourage everybody to take a look at this. It's easier on the website to see these things. But if you go over on the website to the standings for the league, and then if you bring up the season stats, over in the right column at the bottom, it shows the amount of moves. Now I'm not sure how it defines moves. I'm guessing probably free agents and trades.
Yeah.
Saheed is leading with 55.
Wow.
This is what he preaches, folks. He makes moves. Now, Goose, you're at 50, so you're right behind him. Both are a little, rubbing one out for this one. But, and look who is at the bottom here. Look who is at the very bottom. Carlos with 6.
Wow.
All year. So, but it's worked out for Carlos. He didn't really need to make trades this year. So, good for him. Sometimes the draft works your way, like that when you have a stud like Tyreek Hill. So, but yeah, that's where he's at. So I thought that was interesting though. 55. And Speaking of 5, the number 5 seed, we already talked about a little bit before. It's Hector. He is 2 games behind Carlos. He is second place in the division, but he has secured a playoff spot.
Okay.
So he is guaranteed to make the playoffs, but division still in question. He has to win out, and Carlos loses out and make up over 190 points, so unlikely to happen. But he has the inside track to be the top wild card, and he would be playing the 4 seed. Which right now that would be Manny, as we talked about. Man, could you imagine a Manny versus Hector wild card round, man? Ooh,
the 3rd time.
That would be interesting. That would be interesting for sure. So yeah, in the week 13 match, we already talked about it. He lost to Carlos, 172 to almost 135. So let's go on to the 6th seed here, and that is Saheed himself, who is tied. He has a 96%, or tied with Manny. He has a 96% ESPN chance of the playoffs, so he's almost a lock. Second place behind Manny with tied records. He lost in week 5, but of course they played this week, as we already discussed. He does actually have a realistic shot to miss the playoffs, though.
Really?
So if he loses out, if Saheed loses 2, and Kyle wins out, it goes to points. And Kyle has a 71-point lead right now.
Okay.
So he is the highest seed with the biggest chance to possibly miss the playoffs. So that 96% isn't exactly accurate. If I had to guess, I'd probably say it's like maybe an 80, 85% chance. He's got a 10 to 15% chance that, hey, anything can happen in fantasy. If his team scores 70 each the next 2 weeks, he could be on the outside looking in.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. He's got some players out on this one. The number 1 quarterback in fantasy, I don't know if you heard of him, called Josh Allen, the guy on the Madden cover.
That's the guy who was named after the player on Jacksonville. The defensive end.
The better Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
He's on a bye week.
They both help. Well, they both help the defense.
They do.
So.
But yeah, he's on a bye week, and so is Jacoby Myers. So he's gonna go with, looks like, Baker Mayfield here. True Bucks fan right here.
Yeah. Hey, he puts his money where his mouth is. That's for sure. All right, 7 seed, Alex. He is 6-6. I gotta say, we have a couple of tied records, 7 and 5 versus Heat, but we got a real. We don't have many people with the same record here. I like this distribution. We got from 1 seed, got 10, it goes 10, 9, 8, 7. And then now we got Alex with 6. We got some players with 5 and 4 and 3. So anyway, I'm a numbers guy. What can I say? But Alex is 6-6. He is right now the last team in. He cannot win the division. He's 3 games back from me, 2 games left. He can fall out of the playoffs. There's a couple different ways. Kyle is 1 game behind him. So Kyle, if he wins out and Alex loses out, Kyle is in, he is out. Sam and Lewis are 2 games behind. There's a chance they could all end up tying. And if it does, Alex leads in points out of him, Kyle, Sam, and Lewis. So if they do end up forcing a tie and it goes to points, because there'd be competing records, that he would still lead in. So Alex has a scary team, in my opinion, just because that Justin Jefferson coming back is a true wild card that could make his team the team you do not want to see in the playoffs.
Yeah, he looks like he plays Jeff this week. Last time they played, it was 125.75 to 54. Jeff's projected for 49. Looks like he hasn't adjusted his lineup, or he's just throwing in the towel. But Alex is he's a favorite in all the positions here. No DJ Moore and no Gus Edwards in this one, so he's gonna have to look for some.
Got his work cut out for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he can't really afford to lose. I mean, he could very well get in. It depends on what happens with Kyle's game. It's unlikely that he falls out. I would say right now it's probably about maybe a 65-70% chance that he's in. But he's going to have to try to make up for. I don't know what the league is doing with these buys on week 13. They need to be worried about our fantasy playoffs more.
Yeah, that's kind of dumb.